Hello, my name is Monique Carson, and I am a probation officer for adults. In my department, we offer many different programs, and something that I found that was interesting was the shock probation program. With this program, it's just an additional strategy that we have to use for offenders when they have committed a crime, and we need to um, somewhat avoid judgment, so to speak, right up front. So what my evaluation plan proposal is going to be is to evaluate the program that's been in place for many, many years already, as well as some of the research that has been done by other agencies and so forth. So to start, I would like to say that the program um, is used by plenty of different departments, agencies, juvenile department, the adult department, state, and it's been effective. So based on past research, it has been majority a success. There are some drawbacks to it. There are some advantages to the program. One advantage would be that the offender gets released fairly quickly once they complete the set term that has been decided on. So that can be anywhere from 30 days incarceration to 120 days. After the incarceration, the probation would begin. Then they would be on a deferred sentence, and should they complete successfully their probation, then they would not have a conviction on their record. The methodology that I plan to use is to survey 5 different cities: Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, El Paso, as well as Austin, and get about 250 participants, males and females, anywhere from age 18 to 35, have them answer the questionnaire that I've created. Some general questions: are they a participant of the SHARP probation program? Which, yes, they would be. There will also be a control group of approximately about 20 from each of those cities that did not participate, but did take probation. So we would want to compare and see which was effective and at what rate the effectiveness was. With that being said, the survey will be completed by mail. There are going to be some drawbacks to it, such as people not wanting to participate. This is where it would come in handy to get the surveys completed while the offender is still in custody, while they're still on probation, if we could, maybe some that are close to completion, and get their view on it. Also leave a spot for them to give their feedback, not just check the block questions, giving their feedback for that. The reason I thought that Texas was a good area, is because I live here and I get to see on a daily basis offenders in my office that have either taken shock probation, they're either convicted already, or they're on a deferred sentence. And everyone has a very different view on the effectiveness and how it affects them in particular. They may be successful. They may have many obstacles as far as like the cost. There may be too many classes. They may, not keep their act together, meaning that they reoffend. So we also want to measure that. What is the rate of recidivism among these individuals that do take the shock probation? Is the shock probation enough to deter them from future crime while they're being supervised on probation, or community supervision, as some also call it? Another program that is somewhat in comparison would be the juvenile program that they have. It's called a Scared Straight program. I'm not as familiar with it, but I would like to compare the two programs to determine the benefits of both, as well as the drawbacks again, and see what can be adjusted or modified or used in my adult program that we have, that I'm doing my proposal on. Offender goes through the court process and they've agreed on taking shock probation, it would then be up to the judge at that point to determine the length of the sentence that the offender is going to be placed under. With that, they will get a release date. They will be released back into the community, set up with counseling, as well as rules, restrictions, and they would need to report to the probation office and see the rights and requirements. They would need to um, set up their classes, so to speak, their agencies that they're going to be reaching out to for classes, community service, and things like that. Some of these offenders may or may not have employment, so at the probation agency, they would need to inquire about what was available in that community. Most likely they've come from that community and are just being placed back in the same community, so they would potentially know quite a bit about the area, and they would also need to be informed about job applications. When they're applying for these jobs, they need to know that they may need to include this in a job, depending on how questions are worded. That's just one of the things that I've heard people up when they take the probation. They think that, okay, I can choose not to disclose this information, when in fact they may need to, depending on the actual question. With another issue I could see with this shock probation is that once an offender commits a new crime, then the entire case is reviewed. It's looked at again. A motion is filed on them. They have to go back before the judge, and this could hurt their chances of being continued on supervision. They may end up having to just go serve their time out because they have already been given the opportunity with the shock probation program. So basically, I'm going to review the adult probation program, shock probation, and I'm going to compare it to the juvenile program. There's different issues that come with each. There are different adjustments that may have to be made, and I just found that this would be very interesting to compare the Texas juvenile versus the adult probation shock sentencing. Thank you.